Welcome to our second episode of the Nifty 50 Solutions Experience. It's been a little bit since we've done a video.
It's been a minute, yeah.
And there's been a very specific reason for that. It's because Texas froze over. For the first time ever, we experienced some sub-zero temperatures.
Dude, it was wild.
So I think you should tell everybody first that you were one of the lucky ones that you didn't have to deal with.
Yes.
No electricity or no water or anything.
Yeah, so if you have been living under a rock or just don't watch the news, you probably didn't know that Texas had rolling blackouts because there was not enough electricity to take care of the entire state because of the sub-zero temperatures. This was the coldest it's gotten since 1989, and I think we figured out the reason why I didn't lose power, and it's because we live close to a hospital. So I can't say for sure, but hospitals had to keep power, so they were exempt. That section of the power grid was exempt, and I think we were one of the very few lucky ones.
That makes sense.
Will, how was your week?
Well, I will say, I guess IKEA doesn't count as being in one of those like cool grids where you get the power. So
well, it's an essential service.
That's what I thought. If I'm buying IKEA, then I should be okay.
Right.
But anyways, yeah, it got about to 50-ish degrees in here, at least from the battery-powered thermostat that I had.
Which was still kind of on the lucky side.
That was on the lucky side. I saw my parents were at 38 degrees downstairs. And then one of my favorite baseball beat writers, his kitchen was 12 degrees.
12?
12 degrees inside. 12 degrees.
Bro.
Yeah. So, hi buddy. I have a dog now. That's another fun update is I have a dog and he's great. His name's Rocky. He's in the crate right now. But I think he just wanted to say hi. But anyways, yes, 12 degrees is pretty cold. It's also apparently the freezing point of soap.
Of soap?
Of soap, because his soap started freezing.
Interesting.
12 degrees is the freezing point of soap.
That is really interesting.
Yeah, but anyway, so it didn't get super cold here, but I didn't have power or Wi-Fi. And then also I lost water the same day my power came back on, because I had it out for 3 days. Water got shut off in my building. And so before they even made an announcement, just because I was worried that something might happen, is I filled up just about every single water bottle that I had. And then I think I took probably half of my glassware and just filled it up with water to have either to, have Rocky able to have some water or just water for myself. So that's what we've been doing, and that's what we've been dealing with for how many. So here's where we are now, is we're filming our second video, and it's just nice to be back in front of a camera.
It feels really good.
It is really good. And now that we're kind of, picking ourselves up by our bootstraps and getting into this, what's like one of the main things that's been kind of big for us in the past few weeks, since it has been a little while since we've had an episode?
Dude, I mean, I think the big thing that we've been really talking about and just like really hounding on is the consistency of content.
That's true.
Being able to, just being able to be in front of people and to have your message out there on a consistent basis. The more often that you're in front of people, the more likely they are to remember you.
Straight up.
And being able to utilize that across different platforms, different formats, whether it's photos, videos, written, audio, being able, just having that name recognition is going to go a long way.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that consistency with content is different for other platforms? And like, what would you say you would do differently with Facebook as compared to TikTok, for example?
Yeah, I mean, with Facebook, I think what you could do is that there's different kinds of content that you can do for Facebook, because you can do a bunch of different kinds of posts. You can do promotional content, you can do educational content, you can do stuff that promotes engagement. Mm-hmm. With TikTok, I mean, you're stuck with video. You only have one kind of content format.
Yeah.
And that really is about making sure that you're getting their attention in the first couple of seconds.
So how long, well, let me rephrase that question. How often would you say you should post on a weekly basis with TikTok compared to Facebook?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm actually going to push that one back to you, since you are the TikTok guy.
Fair point. I think that each platform is different, right? You have different audiences with each platform.
Absolutely.
With TikTok, you have a bunch of young kids. With Facebook, you have a bunch of boomers. So let me rephrase that. with TikTok, you have a whole bunch of younger people, and then with Facebook, you have kind of an older demographic. And
There's more variety on Facebook.
Absolutely.
I think that's really the better way to put it, because if you look at it, there's 2 billion monthly active users on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I think you have a much broader audience.
Absolutely. And I think with those two platforms and understanding kind of like we have the super broad audience versus, a generation of kids and young adults that are consuming content on a, daily basis, if not hourly basis, just constantly being on their phone. I would say that you probably want to post on TikTok like 5 to 7 times a week if you want to be like consistent content creator.
Sure.
I think that's kind of the precedent you want to set if you're trying to be, an influencer creator, or basically TikTok is your bread and butter.
Yeah.
I think you can get away with posting, once or twice a week on TikTok. You just probably won't get the most out of it,
Sure.
And then with Facebook, you can probably post like once or twice a week, and that's totally okay.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. And I think if you're looking at the broad scope of your messaging, having at least one touch a day across any platform, I think that's vital, because there's going to be a lot of cross-pollination between social media platforms. Because if you look at someone's phone, they're going to have Facebook, they're going to have Instagram, they may have Snapchat, they might have a TikTok, they might have a Twitter, they'll probably have a LinkedIn. So if you're looking at the different options that you have for creating content, having at least one touch a day across all platforms, I think you are doing a good job of reaching your audience.
Yeah, we both totally agree with that. I think that just having a good social presence in general, wherever it is, that's kind of what matters. So, sorry, we're going to take a little bit of a break. We had a rocky emergency.
We did.
Which he's just going to hang out around here. If he has any comments about social media presence or the ice storm, I think he'll chime in at some point. But anyways, so we've been talking about what makes a good social content presence. And I think it's really good to know kind of the frequency of when you should post and what you should post. But I kind of want to talk about this idea of long-tailed versus short-tailed content, which we talked about a little bit in our first episode, but I wanted to dive into it a little bit more. So Gary Vee does an awesome job explaining his big pillar content into micro content model. And so I wanted to ask you, as a videographer, what's the importance of long-tailed content?
With the way that content is being consumed nowadays, people are actually having a little bit of a longer attention span. We are saying that you got to get their attention in the first 3 seconds. Yes, that's really important, but that's in the shorter videos. That's in the 30 second to 1 minute videos. If people know that they're going to be watching a 5 to 10, maybe even 20-minute video, they're more concerned about the content.
Yeah.
So making sure that you have something to say that is going to keep them interested, that is the important thing. And to kind of transition that into the short tail content, is that you're able to, in the long form content, especially whenever you're going 10 minutes plus, you're probably gonna have 8 to 12 pieces of micro content that you can cut down to between 30 seconds and a minute.
Yeah, so let's break down that micro content part, because I think a lot of people get confused on what should they post as micro content. Just give a little rundown of like how basic you can get with micro content.
Yeah, I want you to think back to Vine. Vine was 7 seconds long.
Yeah, straight up. It was 7.
It was
7 seconds, wasn't it?
And granted, the purpose of Vine was very different to the way that social media and content is consumed now. It wasn't used for education or important for engaging micro content. But if you're able to get a point across within 10 seconds, let's say that it is a 10-minute video, it's a key phrase, or it's a powerful statement, then that is going to be something that can easily be reshareable.
Yeah, absolutely. Really well said. I think that one of my favorite examples of kind of pulling micro content is, I think when people do podcasts, for example, like video podcasts, for example, there are a ton of different opportunities to pull small little sound bites where you can format that into like a 1x1 or a 4x5 for like Instagram or Facebook, and you can add a little caption to it to kind of give a little preface into what the video is about. And you know, there's even software to add like a little scroll bar as the video is going too.
Exactly.
And I think that's kind of what allows this strategy to work so well, is these videos that people create, these longer videos, it's almost like free content that you can, and it's not extra work. That's
Exactly.
the best part about it. And I think the one thing that's exciting about, you know, seeing content creators on YouTube being able to pull stuff onto TikTok is you can see that success replicate, you know. I mean, you have guys that have millions and millions of subscribers on YouTube. You can take Cody Ko, you can take Brandon Rogers, you can take all these guys that have tons of following on YouTube and on Twitter, and all they're really doing is they can take clips from their YouTube videos, post them on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and they blow up.
Absolutely. And one thing that we see all the time, just another example of that, is people are sharing their TikToks onto Instagram. Yep. And they're using it for Reels, which that's going to be really interesting moving forward, because Instagram is actually changing its algorithm to where it's actually limiting the reach of videos that have the TikTok watermark on it.
That might have to be another video, because that is really interesting. But I do want to kind of like, real quick, I think I saw somewhere that now the main thing with Instagram is if someone favorites your content rather than someone likes it. Is that true?
Yeah, so whenever they're saving the content, that's a new metric that people are really looking after, because if they're saving it, it's more than just a like. It's something that they want to go back to.
So I'm guessing then that means it's saving content, sharing content, comments, likes, in that order?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's very fair.
Okay. And then without the TikTok watermark too for Reels?
Yep. You're gonna reach a whole lot more people without that watermark, because Instagram is wanting its own original content.
Yeah. So how would you say would be, if someone that has like a decent TikTok following, like if you have like 500 followers but you want to move over to Reels just to see if you can get some more engagement, what would be the easiest way, kind of from a very basic video production standpoint, to crop out that watermark?
I wouldn't necessarily say to crop it out, but I would maybe upload it to Instagram before you upload it to TikTok. The downside of Instagram right now is that you don't have the music editing capabilities that TikTok has, because you can turn down the volume of the music on TikTok, but on Instagram, if you choose a track, it's going to take away the audio of any video that you record. Yeah. So I would actually upload to Instagram first and take the content of Instagram and move that to TikTok, because you're not going to have an Instagram watermark.
Do you think that it's worth even potentially, and this is maybe even taking that step a little bit further, of if you want like a certain track from TikTok, because its music library is so much more extensive than Instagram's right now, would you say that filming the content within TikTok and screen recording it and then putting it on Instagram would be worth it? That
could work. That's something I haven't tried, but that's definitely an option. Yeah, as long as it doesn't have the watermark, then you're gonna be able to get a lot more reach.
Because that's what I thought of just now, is if there's a way to kind of get around to having that watermark, because as soon as you upload it, boom, it's there if you try to save it or share that video. Right. But I'm wondering if there's a way when you're still kind of in that post-production, if you want to call it that, of, you know, making TikToks, is screen recording and then importing it to
Yeah, as long as you crop out let's say that you're on an iPhone and you're doing the screen record, it's going to have that red highlight over the time. So as long as you're able to crop that stuff out, you should be fine.
Well, I think this is probably a pretty good stopping point, at least for this video. This was really great, just being able to talk kind of candidly about like, well, what exactly is content, micro content? How does it work for other platforms? Obviously, with TikTok and Instagram Reels being super new still, it's important to know that this stuff changes all the time. Just with the Instagram algorithm and changing how favorites are now going to be the most important thing. We'll obviously talk about that in a different video. Yep. But thanks so much for watching the video. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to us, because we're going to keep posting these videos to give you guys some awesome knowledge about different digital marketing practices. And it's not just going to be social media. It's not just going to be ice storms. We got a whole bunch of other stuff coming.